This is Lehigh Valley Political Pulse. I'm Tom Shortell. Each week, political scientist Chris Borick joins me to discuss the latest scientific-based research related to public opinion. We dive into the local, state, and national levels and what it all means for you. Chris, I'd like to talk this week about the Lehigh Valley's Latino voting bloc. Lehigh and Northampton counties have more than 141,000 Latino residents. Campaigns have been talking about them as this sleeping dragon for as long as I've been covering the region. But is that the right way to look at it? Should we even be discussing this community as a unified voting bloc?
Yeah, Tom, it's a great question, and one of the most important aspects of the electoral landscape, both in the Lehigh Valley and nationally. Latino, Hispanic voters are the fastest growing bloc of voters in the country, and that includes the Lehigh Valley if we're looking at classic ethnicity, race kind of metrics for it. The attention, I think, is absolutely warranted that the campaigns are giving this community. It's the combination of a couple of factors. It's growing size, some of the divisions within the group of where their partisan preferences are, some changes there make it a bit more variable than we've seen in the past. And thus, it from a campaign perspective, focusing intensely on Latino and Hispanic voters in the Lehigh Valley and beyond makes sense. Your last point or part of your question, Tom, I think is really essential. No, you should not think of the Latino and Hispanic community as monolithic in its ideology, its partisan affiliation. You know, it's issues of interest. It's a diverse community, country of origin, community's length of establishment in different places. It varies, and that affects political behaviors, political engagement. So it's a very nuanced part of the election, but one that certainly is worthy of lots and lots of attention.
You're talking about just now that partisan shift that we're starting to see a little bit. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What has that been historically?
Yeah, and it depends how far back we want to go in our horizon, right? Its core, some of its original partisan identity was more democratic. There were some ebbs in that. In the early first decade of this century, for example, Republicans made some pretty substantial gains during the Bush years. Beginning about, the 2008 and onward, the growing Hispanic Latino vote had a very strong lean Democratic. Now that wasn't perfect, in terms of being, but somewhere around 2/3 is a number that's often looked at as a Democratic benchmark. Most recently, however, polling in this election cycle had shown some degree of loss among in terms of Democrats among this core constituency. Since Vice President Harris emerged as the Democratic nominee, it seems that the ebbing, if you will, of support for Democrats that was happening under Biden has reversed somewhat.
I know in a lot of our local elections, we've seen candidates come forward, many of them Latinos or Latinas themselves, and try to connect with the voter base, Allentown in particular. It hasn't always worked out very well for them.
So if you look at Hispanic voters as a bloc, and you look at the percentage of the electorate that they make up, and then you look at their share of people that actually vote, it's usually underrepresented. So turnout rates, both in the Lehigh Valley and beyond. And that's always raised the bar even more. It's okay, wow, if we could just get that voting group out. It's a big goal. There's more attention I can see right now than in the past. Parties have increasingly paid attention. This cycle, at least it appears that attention is even intensified in places like the Lehigh Valley. Once again, because over 4 years, there's been growth in that areas. And also, as I just mentioned, it's often a group that's a little bit untapped.
Very good. Chris Borick is professor of political science at Muhlenberg College. This has been Lehigh Valley Political Pulse. I'm Tom Shortell. For an extended version of this interview, visit LehighValleyNews.com.